Like she said, my name is BritniTincher back, and I teach at Jackson Independent School, 3rd through 5th grade, social studies and science. In high school, one of my favorite subjects was always social studies, and with my 5th graders, of course, being tested this year, I wanted something that made them more engaged in their lessons. And I wanted to be able to incorporate technology because our school is really moving towards a paperless classroom. And at the beginning of the year, our tech coordinator, Mr. Coots, he's awesome. He's always working us really, really hard, but it pays off in the end. And at the beginning of the year, we had a grant to be able to receive a 65-inch TV. So in the year before that, we actually got iMac Pros. So I'm thinking, how can I incorporate everything that our school has given us into the classroom? And over the summer, we had laying the foundations. I'm not sure if you all are familiar with that, but a fellow social studies teacher said that this 5th grade software was amazing and that you could do a 30-day trial. And I tried it out and I loved it. And you really just jumped into the pages of your social studies book as opposed to just sitting there and having to listen to your teacher, wah, wah, wah. You know, a social studies teacher sometimes just drags on and on. So this is my grant. You can go ahead. It says it covers American history from the first migrations all the way up to the 20th century. Intense interactions with the personalities, places, and events that structured our nation lead students to be both keen observers of and informed participants in U.S. history. So they get to participate in so many activities that this software has to offer. So my problem of practice, I wanted to obviously incorporate more technology with what they had given us, and I wanted the kids to be able to interact, not just kind of sit at their desk all day and listen to me teach just out of a book for an hour each day. I wanted them to be engaged in the lesson, and I wanted to see if social studies comes alive would help my kids be able to jump into the textbook. And this software is designed specifically for a tech-ready classroom. So that's why I really, really was interested in trying this software out in the classroom. There's some pictures on there. You can just keep on clicking. There's 4. So these are just some activities. As you can see here, the class made their own totem poles. And here you have kids working together. They brought in a paper towel holder, or a paper towel roll, I'm sorry, and they made their own totem poles when we were going over the first migrations and when they came over to the U.S. So you can go ahead to the next one. What makes this stand out? Now, with the money that was given through the ARI grant, we had enough for a teacher subscription, and then I got a class set of 30 textbooks, and we didn't have enough for each student to have a subscription also. So I got one student subscription just to kind of see what it was like from the student's point of view. Now, I have PowerPoint presentations ready over each chapter. Each chapter, you can build your own tests. You can build your own assessments, whatever. If you want open response or if you don't. If you want short answer, all multiple choice, whatever you want to build, you can, which is really, really great. With testing coming up, I can take from each chapter and build my own, I don't want to say K-Prep, but build my own sample test. The technology for student subscriptions. I can assign whatever lesson that I want straight to the students. If you all are familiar with Blackboard through college, it's kind of like the same thing for students, for 5th grade students. I can give them tests online if they want to take it online. I can give them lessons online. And the visuals and the place cards is talking about, just recently we went over the Civil War, and they really, really liked the medical section, and it showed all the different tools in the Civil War, and it was very visual for them because they had place cards that showed each different type of medical tool, and one was a hacksaw, and they just, they didn't realize they weren't putting that together, that when I say, oh, they used hacksaws back then in the Civil War if somebody got hurt, they actually seen it in color. They seen the tents that the soldiers had to be in that was in gruesome conditions. So with this software, like I said, it really helps the kids to jump into the pages. You have, oh, that's okay. With that, you have differentiated instruction through the teacher subscription. So you can group students however you need to group them and still be able to assess them to their needs. Okay, so I'm not going to be a teacher and teach you about geography. You can go on to the next page. I just wanted to show you that in this first chapter, Geography of the United States, there's some pictures on there. These are just some pictures that students were able to work in pairs and have task cards, and they had to label features on a map. So they walked around the room, they were being mobile, they were able to work in pairs and collaborate, and they had graphs that told them different clues about certain landforms, bodies of water, whatever that may be, and then they had to go back to their seat and collaborate, and using the pictures that they had, the clues that they had to see what landform fit that or body of water fit that. It's just some more pictures of them. Okay, here's another one. American Indian cultural regions, and the next, you can keep going. It's some pictures on it as well. Okay, so with this, they made dioramas. In a response group activity, students analyze historical artifacts from different American Indian groups and then compare and contrast life in the various regions by making dioramas of their region. So each group was assigned a different region. They had to learn all about that region and then present it to the class. So this was one of their favorites. All right, comparing the colonies. We have some pictures on the next one too. This was personally one of my favorite activities. In a problem-solving group work activity, students create a billboard for one of the 6 British colonies, and they try to persuade other students to settle in their colony. So this was just 4 of the 6. Okay, so now we got to the Civil War. So far, this has been one of their most favorite chapters. In an acted-out activity, students take a walking tour to visit 5 sites at the battlefield of Gettysburg in July 1863. So if I had more time and I wasn't on such a time crunch, because in the beginning of the year I was on maternity leave, I had my first child, so I didn't even really get to dig into this except for, maybe at the beginning of February is when I really got to dive into this book and this software and what it gives. But luckily it's a 6-year subscription, so it's going to be ongoing, and I can use this throughout 5 more years after this. And with this, they examine notes on written and visual information about aspects of the Civil War, such as military tactics and technology and combat conditions. So you actually build your room just like they were taking a walking tour of the Civil War. Now in this next slide, the acted out slide, you'll see students acting out a Civil War soldier reenactment with the entire class joining in march. Hopefully it works. It's a video.
Left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, 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 right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left, left,
Where do you men come from?
We come from the north side.
Why have y'all tried to join the Union Army?
President Lincoln wants us united and for freedom, sir.
What do you all expect to learn during the training?
To serve and to be loyal to my country, sir.
Okay, so they done a little acted out about Civil War soldiers, and Austin here on the right, he was the commander, I guess you would say, and they loved this activity, and this was from the actual PowerPoint. So instead of just opening my book and reading it, or do whole group reading, it chunks each section, and you do a small little activity with each section. What outcomes will prove that your innovation has succeeded? Obviously, assessments. I can tell myself from the beginning of the year when we did not have this software to now the difference in many students, especially tactile learners, those that like to work with their hands, visual learners. End of the year assessment scores, it's really great that I have a 6-year subscription. I'm really excited to be able to use this because each year I'm going to be able to see just exactly, is this working? Is it beneficial to renew this, or is it beneficial to maybe get student subscriptions next year with another ARI grant? And student engagement and participation has really changed my classroom from the beginning of the year to now. I have just as much fun with them doing social studies as I ever have. I really love this software. I cannot speak highly enough about it. You can just play his video on the right. It's just a short little clip. He's just telling you a little bit about what he likes about this. Okay, tell me a little bit about Social Studies Alive and why you like it so well.
Social Studies Alive helps you imagine you are actually in the book in whatever time period that it says you're in. Say it's the baddies of Gettysburg, you feel like you're among the people and trying to fight the enemies. And also the reading further helps with projects and all sorts of other good stuff. We actually did a virus project, and if you look back in the book, you can see every little detail about the culture, the people who live there, and the animals and plant life that live there.
So do you like it better than any other social studies books that you have had or software that you had?
Yes.
Okay, so he mentioned one time reading further, and it's just a short little 4-page add-on to the end of each chapter. And for instance, Manifest Destiny and expanding westward, obviously the Native Americans were pushed out, so the reading further let them dive into that by telling them about the Trail of Tears. So that's just an example of what the reading further gives. So that's my grant. If y'all have any questions. Thank you.